Daniel 11:1 through 35 is so precise in its historical fact, there are some claiming it had to be written after the fact. Due to time constraints, I am only focusing on those scriptures that are most relevant. It is important to note that Daniel 11 is a more detailed account of Daniel 8 and the rise of the little horn, Antiochus IV. Verse 21. And in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in peaceably and obtain the kingdom by flatteries. Since Antiochus is a foreshadowing of the Antichrist, we can expect he shall do the same, which he does as noted in Revelations 13:5, when he breaks the covenant with Israel after 3.5 years. Daniel 11:22, and with the arms of a flood shall they be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant. I believe this is a reference to Onias III, the high priest. Antiochus replaced him with Jason, a Jew who paid him a great deal of money to do so. Antiochus then replaced Jason with the wicked Jewish Menelaus as the high priest because he offered him more money, which I see as a foreshadowing of the Antichrist appointing a wicked man as the false prophet, which theologically could be a Sanhedrin high priest. Verse 25 to 30 portrays the battles between the kings of the north, Antiochus IV, and the south, Ptolemy VI. But I am only referencing verse 30 for its relevancy. Daniel 11:30, for the ships of Shittim shall come against him, therefore he shall be grieved and return, and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do, he shall even return, and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. Antiochus initially achieved some military success in Egypt against Ptolemy VI, but because of diplomatic pressures and implied military threats from the Roman navy, he was forced to give up his desire for complete control. Enraged by his defeat, he turned his rage against Jerusalem, which was manifested by the cruel murder of thousands of Jews. A 90-year-old man named Eleazar was executed for his refusal to eat pork. Martyrdom became commonplace, though perhaps the most famous was that of Hannah and her 7 sons, who one by one were tortured and killed before her eyes, before she herself was killed, all because they refused to violate their Jewish laws. Mothers who circumcised their sons were forced to witness their baby sons being flung from Jerusalem's walls to their death. These and other more detailed atrocities are documented in Book 2, Maccabees, as well as the following atrocities. Because animal sacrifice was in the similitude of the future sacrifice of the Savior, the most offensive act of Antiochus was the ordering the sacrifices of swine in the holy sanctuary, especially since it was so repulsive to the Jews as the most unclean of animals. This repulsive act, together with the other atrocities and offenses, incited the Maccabees to revolt against Antiochus. No wonder the Maccabees saw in Antiochus Epiphanes the worst tyrant in their history, and why Daniel would see it in vision, and why the Jews celebrate Hanukkah annually in remembrance of the victory over his reign of terror. After they reclaimed Jerusalem, the temple was rededicated, and the miracle of the oil occurred when 1 day's worth of oil lasted 8 days. And yet the man behind this celebration and his importance in leading up to the reign of the man of sin is hidden from the world at large. All because I believe Satan/Antichrist wants to deceive the covenant people of God and all mankind in general as to who he really is and from whence he comes. 2 Thessalonians 2:3 states, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Even though Antiochus Epiphanes is not the man of sin / Antichrist, but only the foreshadowing because he too sets himself up to be God, as mentioned in Chapter 8 video, he is important for our true understanding of who the Antichrist is. Verse 4, Paul states, speaking of the Antichrist, wrote, "Who opposes and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." However, this will only happen after he has deceived the Jews into believing he supports the agreed peace agreement between Israel and what will end up being the 10 Arab countries, who conspire against Israel as mentioned in Psalms 83 and referenced in Daniel 7 video. Even though the Abrahamic Peace Accord is not a reference to the 7-week confirming covenant of peace of Daniel 9:29, and on the surface seems to be a positive step for regional stability, I, as others, believe it opens the door for its fulfillment. For the Antichrist does not generate a peace agreement, he confirms one already in existence. Especially prophetically, we know there will not be stability in the Middle East until Christ intervenes. If this video helps you to understand why Daniel 11, like Daniel 8, cannot be a prophecy of a revived Roman Empire and its relevance to our day, please watch the next presentation, especially for further insights on why the Antichrist confirming a covenant of peace involves the Abrahamic Peace Accord and symbolism on the commutative coin. And know your comments, as always, will not only be appreciated but also acknowledged. As mentioned in the last videos, these last day prophecies are only one leg of the Antichrist deception. The other, the agendas of the New World Order to control our lives, suppress the truth of our divine identity, worth, and cosmic potential, which I have exposed in a novel based on fact entitled The Blog. If interested, check out my website. Thank you, and God bless.